What's up, guys? Welcome to another video of Dev Talks with your host Travian. And in this video, I actually want to dive into Ford because, needless to say, Ford has been running into some issues with their AI practices and hiring. And I think a lot of companies are going to be running into the same. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's dive right into this.
Ford, the victim of bad AI? Will you tell us, did they fall for something, a spam email?
It could have been in a sense. In reality, what we're talking about here is in recent years, Ford has sacked hundreds of its engineers to make room for AI, which it believed would be able to do those folks' jobs for less money. Guess what? It didn't turn out that way. And what's Ford doing now? They're rehiring many of the same workers that they showed the door to so they could come back and do the jobs that AI couldn't do. Now, many of those jobs in question involve quality control. That is, making sure Ford is getting the results it desires on the factory floor. And it turns out AI lacked the capability to make such judgments. Why? Because it has no gut instincts. And it turns out that when it comes to quality control, being able to eyeball the parts or eyeball the process and make some gut instinct as to how this is going to affect quality overall, that's a distinctly human skill, at least at this point. So now Ford is bringing people back to be able to handle that. And guess what? Quality has gone back up in the factories. But I'm sorry to say, part of the job of these rehired humans is to train AI to be better at the jobs it was supposed to be better at. Not good for the humans.
Ouch.
So you mess around and you find out, right? Right here is a prime example of mess around and find out, because this isn't, every company isn't doing this, right? But a lot are. And this isn't an issue on an IC level. It is strictly an issue on an executive and director level or a management level overall. On why this happened in the first place, right? Because there's a way and a process to do everything, to spin it off. And companies been mainly doing this already. Like when they go and they hire outside of another country for cheaper labor, you train them and then you leave, but the quality of those people aren't as good, but they're going to survive anyways because they're a company and they're looking to turn profit and get back on track, right? Ford, in this sense, has to hire back these engineers. Hey, who wants to come back? How long, depending on how long that layoff was, is really important as well too, because imagine the ones that did get jobs and there's still some sitting at home and trying to find that balance to get people back. And then when you're back in that role, if your job is to train the AI to be better, how long are you guys actually going to give them time to train it? Because what it seems like is, first off, you're still training them to do the same thing later in the future to get rid of you guys. And they're not looking at AI as a tool aspect. They're looking at AI as a replacement aspect. And speaking of factories and using robotics and stuff, I actually have another video I'm recording after this for Figma, or if not Figma, Figure. They're bringing some robots into BMW's warehouses and plants. So a lot of these companies are looking at AI as a replacement tool. And I love going back to an article that I read about AWS's CEO talking about software engineers. AI isn't meant to replace them, and how it's supposed to be just a tool to make people more efficient and stuff. If you kept all those people there and you found a way to use AI to expedite their productivity, and you guys could pump out more quality cars and insurance and do more in one day, that is more of a bonus than just getting rid of them and dealing with all these issues to retrain it, to get rid of them, to save costs. And the one reason why this is seen as a replacement tactic is because AI is expensive on its own. The number of seats, the number of tooling, all of that stuff across the board, it is expensive on its own. The tokens, don't get started on tokens. Listen, I pay for Claude. You only get a certain amount of free time. I mean, it's not free time because you're paying for it, but still, There's a reason why on your chatbots you get limits on how much that you're able to do and going from there. There's just a reason for it. Because of how expensive AI actually is. And either one, I don't think some people understood how expensive it was going to be for the usage that they're trying to require it for. And two, there's a way of offloading stuff and people because they didn't. If they're bringing these people back to retrain the AI, that means they weren't trained properly in the first place. They just got it. Hey, said we're using it for this, and then we're getting rid of them. It is such a bad tactic and idea, and you're not really doing your job at all to just get rid of people and replace them with something that you think is going to be more efficient or cheaper in the long term. That's not the way to do it. I'm looking at my best people. I'm keeping them, and I'm seeing how can they use this to make their jobs easier so that they're able to do more for us, which then we can turn out more profit and revenue, and then maybe if I'm looking at their metrics now, right? I got a good diagnosis of how much work they can get done. Maybe when one of them leaves the company, or when some of them leave the company, I don't rehire immediately. I'm like, we can still do what we can do with a smaller team, and we're still beneficial in what we're doing. Rather than getting rid of them, we just keep a smaller team. And then when we need to hire more people because we got some more work coming in or things, because I know how the workflow does, then we hire them in and we manage our actual regulations, our SLAs, everything that we have to get done, rather than just going for full replacement. Full replacement right off the bat is never going to work. It's never going to fit the way that you're going to do. Everybody can't do what a software engineer is going to do or a specific engineer is going to do because they are trained on what the AI is actually supposed to do. At the end of the day, these value people, the quality assurance people that they're talking about, they have been doing this for years. They are trained in this. This AI stuff has less experience on the job than them. They haven't been using AI for 10 years in the company yet. It just hasn't happened. And this is all across the board. This is an attack on Ford. I'm not putting no particular companies or names or people out there for that. I'm just saying these AI models and stuff have not been on the job longer than some of these other people. Maybe some junior level people, hey, I'll give you that. However, these junior level people still got their own instincts. There's some of them that are smart as ever. There's some people that will come in that are juniors that will work harder than the people that you've had there for 20 years. So what are you trying to get? The effort. And also, there's some of those people who are going to come in that are younger, junior levels, associate levels. And you know what they're going to do? They understand the technology better anyways. They use the platforms and models already anyways. They're going to be more coherent to using it, to developing with it, to coming up with new ideas on how to use it. But this is such a major push in every industry, in every branch, in every platform, all across the board, every workspace. And this is why I said it's meant to be a tool, not a replacement. I know somebody who their job is actually, that has nothing to do with engineering, right? Their manager is telling the team, hey guys, we need to think of some ways to incorporate AI somehow. Any way, shape, or form, we need to figure out how we're going to incorporate it into our day-to-day and things that go from there and making our business simpler. And a lot of people are worrisome. And this is the reason why, this Ford example is the reason why a lot of people are worrisome with AI, because there's a lot of people out there who view it as a replacement tactic rather than a tooling tactic and an efficiency tactic. And going from there, they view it strictly for replacement to get rid of people. And this is why a lot of kids out of college feel like they can't get jobs. This is why a lot of people are worried about losing their positions to AI, because of the talk that is happening around AI. Literally, the conversations that are having around AI are the reasons why a lot of people are worried and worrisome about their jobs and positions and careers in the future. It's if the narrative around it changed and was actually being behaved in the way that I believe that it should be behaved, in the manner that it should be, nobody would be worried about it. It wouldn't be a sweat at all. Everybody would be using it in this particular way in the workforce. I need to put asterisks around that and quotations around that, because people are going to be using AI in other ways as well too. As we see people in relationships and stuff, but that's one thing, not another. Um, it's just tragic. In my opinion, that thought process and everything is an absolute tragedy. That should just have never happened in the first place. The narrative that was getting pushed out should just never happen in the first place. It's so much, like, I understand the hype around it all. I understand everybody's companies getting on the bandwagon, right? Because when OpenAI first dropped ChatGPT, all these companies fell behind. When they first dropped it, all these companies were behind. Look at Apple. Look at the position that Apple's in. They just did their WWDC, lackluster. Oh, nothing really to talk about. A lot of parental stuff that was into it. It was really good WWDC for parents, I'll say. However, guys, they could have been a lead voice on having their own AI platforms, but they not. They're using other people's stuff. So, yeah, when you're late to the party, you kind of bite the bullet. And when you don't, it's funny that we're talking about being late, because I've been reading and rereading Think and Grow Rich. Right? Where's the book at? What did I do with that? Oh, it's all the way behind me back there. So I've been reading Think and Grow Rich, right? And in chapter 8, it's on procrastination. And the pages I literally read last night talked about how if you just sit there and you just think about something and somebody else comes out and does the action and brings it into fruition, then you can't be mad at that, because you were the one sitting there. You were the one procrastinating. You were the one dwelling on the thoughts and not putting anything into action. So you are the one that pays for not being actionable. So I understand it on a company aspect that they cannot sit around. You cannot sit around at all. You have to be going. If you have an idea, go for it. Use it. Try it. You have to use it. Everybody's going to have to use it. Anybody who decides not to use AI in the workforce at all, you're not going to be successful in the long run. If you sit on your hands, you got to use it. You need to be actionable with this stuff. When it first came out, a lot of people should have been actionable about it so that they could become better prompt engineers. And prompt engineering is going to be the biggest thing going forward in the future, because the way you write your prompts and getting better at it is going to be it's what's going to make you more successful. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And peace. See y'all next time.